Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. And this week I am going to be doing kind of a special project. This probably is going to be kind of quick and I think hopefully a little easy, but it is still going to be very special for me. Behind me is my great-grandmother's vanity. This is a piece of furniture that I have wanted my entire life. I remember this being at my great-grandmother's house, then it moved to my grandma's house, and now it has made a 13-hour trek to my house. And I think this is the piece of furniture that made me fall in love with pretty much all things vintage, but specifically vintage furniture. And no, I am not furniture flipping this. I am not fixing it up. I'd be way too afraid that I would mess something up. Plus, it is in excellent condition, so there's really not much I could fix up anyway. What I am going to be doing is making a bench for this vanity because as long as I can remember, it hasn't had a bench or a stool to go with it, and I can't find any online that I like. So I'm gonna try to build a bench, and my goal is to try to have it match or at least look like they go together in some way, shape, or form. So with all of that being said, I am going to head into my studio to spend a few minutes with you guys designing out this bench, and then I can get started building it. Coffee went down the wrong pipe. So my plan for this bench is to make it upholstered. One, I would just much rather sit on an upholstered bench and do my makeup and get ready. And two, the idea of matching a full wood bench to this vanity and having it fit the vibe and style of the vanity seems a lot trickier than just making it upholstered. So this is the fabric that I am going to be using. I absolutely love the color and texture of this fabric, and also I have a little bit of a bedroom makeover in the works, so I really think this is gonna fit the style and vibe that I'm going for in that makeover. So the only wood part that's gonna be showing in this bench is the legs. These are just some legs that I got on Amazon. I actually have another pair coming because these are 10 inches, and when they arrive they seem kind of short, so I have these exact legs coming and they are 14 inches, and I think that extra 4 inches is gonna give it the boost that this bench is gonna need. And I'm gonna try to get the color as close to matching the vanity as I possibly can, but what I really loved about these legs is the details on them. I think the details on these legs come really close to matching the details on the vanity. So I think this is gonna look really nice together. But what I have to figure out now is the dimensions of this bench and how I'm gonna put it together. What I am picturing is a diamond tufted top that sits on an upholstered frame, and then I'll attach the legs to that upholstered frame. At least that's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna get to designing so that I can head out real quick and grab the little bit of supplies that I need to make this bench. Okay, so for the most part, the bench is now designed out. I'm still working out a few details in my head, but I have enough figured out that I'm just running out to get the few extra supplies that I need to put it all together. Okay guys, so I'm going to be building this bench in a slightly different way. Normally I would build a frame and then cut down up top, upholster both pieces. But I kind of don't know at this point how thick I want the frame to be. My goal is to make this bench 18 inches. If it's a little under or a little over, not a big deal, but I'm roughly going for 18 inches. And I don't know how thick the frame needs to be because I don't know how thick this top piece is gonna end up being. So I just decided, why don't I go ahead and upholster this so that I can see how thick it is to determine how thick I want the frame to be. So I just went ahead and cut down this small piece of plywood that I got. So it is now 24 by 17. So since this is going to be a diamond tufted bench, I have to first map out where I want these buttons to go. And then once I have those button placements mapped out, I'll go ahead and drill out those holes and I can start upholstering. Now that I have all of these button holes mapped out, I'm gonna add some foam on top of this plywood. I got this 1-inch project foam. It's nice and cheap. And since it's only 1 inch, I do want this bench to be a little bit plushier than 1-inch foam. So I'm probably gonna do 2 layers, maybe even 3 layers of this foam. I've got some spray adhesive to attach this to the top of this plywood. So let's get to work. And when you're upholstering, to make it so that you have like a nice rounded edge, you usually want to have the foam hanging over the edge of the plywood by like 1/2 inch, maybe even a full inch. Okay, my first piece is cut. Let's get it attached. And if this is your first upholstery video that you've seen of mine, this is an electric meat cutter knife, carving knife, meat. It's an electric carving knife. And I got it because it's really nice for cutting foam. I know how to explain things. Yeah, I think 2 layers is cushy enough. I think that's perfectly fine for my booty. Stupid. So my next step is taking this very long upholstery needle and sticking it up through the plywood as straight as I possibly can to mark out where these button holes need to be. I see here. So now that I have my buttons all mapped out, I'm going to take this 3/4 of an inch hole saw and cut holes in the foam where the buttons need to go. Yikes, what the heck? Okay, never mind. Okay, well, I have to cut a new piece of foam. Now the question is, what should I do? I could try the knife. Well, that works, I guess. I'm not sure why the hole saw did not work with this foam. Probably because it's like incredibly cheap foam. That would be my guess. But yeah, it did not work with this foam. But it's okay. The electric knife worked great and I got some holes cut. They're not very precise, but all I need is to have some holes cut. It won't matter once I cover it with batting and fabric. And speaking of batting, it's time to add some batting over the top of this. I've got it right here. I've got to grab my staple gun and I'm just going to staple a layer of batting over this foam. So the last last time I did diamond tufted upholstery was for a headboard I made for my dad and stepmom. So I feel like this little bench is gonna be easy peasy compared to that. So what I'm gonna do now is lay the fabric out over the top of this seat bench. Then I'm going to take this upholstery thread and my upholstery needle and sew up through the plywood into the fabric and then back down. Then I'll be able to pull at the fabric and pull it into each one of these holes. And this might sound complicated, but it is actually really easy because the shape and the pattern does most of the work, and all you have to do is kind of straighten out the fabric as you work through each little buttonhole. So I'm gonna get to work, and then from there, I'll be able to determine how big I need to make this frame. I mentioned this when I was making the headboard for my dad. When doing diamond tufting, some people like to go in right away with the buttons as they create the tufting. I like to start with the upholstery thread. I feel like I can really focus on the fabric and getting the shape right. Guys, look how pretty it is. Yay. I still have to add the buttons, but I'm just gonna wait until the frame is done and attached to here to work on the buttons. So I'm really glad I went ahead and upholstered this frame first. Now I can see exactly how thick I need this frame to be to make the bench 18 inches. So the frame needs to be 1.5 inches thick. So I was thinking about it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and build a flat frame with my 2x4. That'll make it 1.5 inches thick. Technically, wood is strongest when it's on its side, but a flat frame is gonna be plenty strong enough for this bench. So I'm gonna head outside and get that frame built, and then I'll come back in here to get it wrapped with fabric. Okay guys, look, I got a cute little quick frame. So I'm gonna get this wrapped with the fabric, and then I'll get the bench top and the frame attached together using some screws that I put somewhere. And then I can work on the buttons for the bench top. Don't look down. Oh my gosh, this bench is going to be heavy duty. This thing is actually like really heavy. I have only one final thing I can do today because the legs are arriving tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be able to finish this bench until tomorrow. So the final step for today is making some fabric covered buttons. I have this craft cover button kit. It's very easy to follow. It comes with a little template that you use to cut out little circles of your fabric and pop a little fabric button together. So I'm gonna get those made, get them attached, and call it a day. This little button kit is really great, but it can be a little bit tough to make fabric buttons when you have thick fabric like I did. So I ended up needing to use a pair of pliers to snap the back piece on to actually make the button and hold everything in place. And this kit comes with two different backs. One is a flat back and one has a little eyelet. What I ended up doing is using the flat back to create the button, and then I used the eyelet on the bench top. And then to attach the two pieces together, I did use hot glue, but I ended up switching this since then to E6000 to hold everything together. guys, as you can tell, the new legs have arrived, and look at the 14-inch legs compared to the 10-inch legs. I am so glad I switched to the 14-inch legs. These are so much more of a statement than the 10-inch legs, and you can like really see the details in the legs. They're so pretty. So what I have to do to finish up this bench is get these legs stained. I'm gonna be testing out some stains on the top back corners of the legs to get a nice color match to the vanity. Once I have a nice color match, I'll go ahead and stain all of the legs, do a glossy top coat to match the sheen of the vanity. And then the legs came with all of this hardware that makes it pretty easy to get the legs attached to the bench top. So I'm gonna get started working, and I can't wait to see this bench and the vanity all together. Since I do a lot of projects, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at color matching, and I had a sneaking suspicion that using Early American by Varathane and Gunstock by Minwax would be the perfect combo for these legs, and I was right. Early American brought in the perfect level of darkness, whereas Gunstock brought in a red tint, and the two combined created almost an exact match to the vanity. And that is it, guys. I personally think it looks like I just reupholstered the bench that came with this vanity and didn't build this thing completely from scratch. The legs, of course, are what really made this bench. The color match is pretty darn spot on, if I do say so myself, especially for being two different types of wood. And the details in the legs, although they are different from far away, you definitely don't notice the difference. And just like I thought when I saw this fabric, the texture and color is so pretty, and the diamond tufting really adds that level of elegance. And with everything combined, this makes this the bench I wanted, but definitely couldn't find online. And I think my great-grandmother and grandma would be proud. I'm honored to be the next in line to own this piece. So I hope you guys liked this project and video. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.